apart from businesses that were working, remotely working, businesses have slowly reopened to help, the crisis that we are in right now. If business can stay afloat, remain in business, you know, survive this crucial period. And one of the industries that are heavily affected are not just in the travel industry or the airline industry, as well as the hospitality, as well as the entertainment industry. Now, I think we discussed this last week about, in particular, in the movie chains, in particular, Cinema World was forced or have decided to shut down majority of all of their theaters because of the pandemic. And even if they open their theaters, question is, will people be going out to watch movies? And question is, what movies can they watch? And with the latest news that some of the blockbuster films are being pushed as far as later this year, and even for some moving pushed back as early next year or later next year. So it has a domino effect on how the movie theaters would perform in terms of generating revenue. But in this article, in this case, AMC is doing the complete opposite. They'll continue to remain open with one key advantage here. So let's take a look. So as mentioned, the AMC movie theater is keeping their movie theaters open, and they say it's the right decision even as other rivals such as Regal, who owns Cinema World, closed their cinemas. As mentioned, is it the right decision? Yes, and it is because of their partnership with a particular movie outfit. In this case, it's their on-demand agreement with Universal Pictures. So what does this mean? So they'll be guaranteed that they'll show the films, and then later on they will be able to generate revenue, not just get a cut from theatrical revenue here, but as well as home revenue here. So it's a win-win scenario for both parties here. So obviously they're expecting that people will come out and watch films, whatever Universal releases later this year, and people will go out and see the films. And after that, if they don't watch, or if it's a box office hit and so forth, they can still watch those films later on in their respective streaming services and so forth. So it's a win-win scenario. Obviously, it's a big advantage for AMC since their main competitor has already closed their theater. So obviously, if you're a moviegoer, where do you go watch a film? If you're limited with just one option, then good for them. It's more revenue than they would expect. And as mentioned here, the CEO Adam Aaron defended the company's decision to continue operating its movie theaters during the pandemic, even if the top rivals chose to temporarily close its screen. And as I mentioned, they have millions of people who come to theaters to watch films, right, for entertainment, especially for being locked down for so long, for several months. Obviously, people are clamoring to do some activities outside of their homes, but obviously the concern here is it's safe. Obviously, movie theaters have already tried as much as they can to provide protocols to ensure that the safety of the individuals or the moviegoers are at the top of their priority. And as mentioned here, their position to keep the theaters open is because, as mentioned, so the agreement between Universal Films to show their films in AMC theater, and then before moving on to on-demand streaming. Now, the agreement here has been slightly changed dramatically, as mentioned. So instead of a typical 3 months movie showing in the movie theaters, will be now reduced to just about how many days? Yeah, less than half of a month. Now, obviously, that's a big change, so that they could take advantage of the hype of, let's say, if it generates positive reviews, so people who are not able to go out and watch the films on the theaters, they could watch it on different respective streaming services as mentioned. So it's a win-win for both of them, but obviously AMC needs to generate more hype so people can have a reason to go out and watch different films. Now, I think as mentioned, the film, what was it? Yeah, the latest James Bond flick was pushed later this year. Even the film of Wonder Woman 1984, I think was supposed to be later released, was already pushed back late December this year. So what other films would be affected? You know, we have to wait and see. So again, the key problem of many cinemas, why they have, you know, they're losing revenue here is because of lack of blockbuster movies that are being shown in the theaters. Now, obviously, why are movie outfits afraid to release films or show it to the theaters is obviously, you know, it's not the same as if you compare it to simply last year. If you know, if it were just a normal day, people would go out see even if it's a blockbuster film or known film or an unknown film. People, you know, look for entertainment, and movies one way of doing that. So but with the pandemic and everything, you know, people are even more cautious as to when to go out. Now, obviously, some are already start to go out, you know, do their own activity. But in terms of leisure, in particular, watching films, it's a totally different endeavor because you have to be congregated in a very close quarters in a sense. So, are you comfortable sitting in close proximity to other people where you might get infected and so forth? So, you know, it's a big risk. So, how can this be alleviated unless they can guarantee that, you know, people won't get infected and such? I think that's the trade-off that people are waiting to see. How far before people starting going back? You know, is it in weeks' time, months, or even years? We'll see what happens there. And obviously, a lot of films are being released, so something to look forward. It's a kids' film, I think. It's called The Croods, so it's a sequel to the original Croods movie. It's now called The Croods: A New Age. So something to look forward here. Obviously, safety protocols is at the top of AMC's priority here. So making sure social distancing and, you know, enhanced cleaning of the facility is their priority here. Well, good luck to them. Hopefully, other movie theaters can resume their operation and, you know, get moviegoers watching the films again. Anyway,